My inquiry was focused on exploring the impacts of implementing brain breaks in the classroom. I will be covering my wondering, data collection, what I learned, and next steps. For my wondering, when considering classroom management techniques, the question of brain breaks came to my mind. In one of my practicums, I had seen a teacher consistently writing reminders to herself to make sure that her students were getting enough brain breaks throughout the day. With this in mind, I wondered how little brain breaks could help students refocus and be on task for periods of instruction. This inquiry data was taken in a first grade classroom at West Sioux Elementary School in Ironton, Iowa, with a total of 15 students. This class has 5 ELL students, several struggling readers, and 1 student with autism. With such a diverse range of learners, a whole group intervention has been put in place alongside of individual interventions. Some students are pulled out for more intensive interventions, and others receive interventions within the classroom during their station work. Due to the impacts of COVID, many are behind grade level and in need of more support. Just a little background about the students in my classroom. Next, I will be talking about the data collection. My timeline consisted of experimenting with a variety of brain breaks, taking notes on the impact, collaborating with the teacher, and asking questions, and then re-evaluating my practices. Through this process, I was able to gain a better idea of how students were responding to these types of breaks. I was able to record my findings in written and mental field notes. One of the most impactful ways to collect data and gain a deeper understanding of the benefit of brain breaks was through collaboration with the classroom teacher. The next slide outlines my thought, considerations, and collaborative thinking with my cooperating teacher. Throughout my study, I focused on 3 key considerations: length of the brain break, spacing between brain breaks, and the type of brain break. For length, I kept each brain break under 5 minutes. I think this was just enough time to get students a break without allowing them to completely lose motivation or interest in learning. Spacing, this totally depended on the day. However, as I was teaching more in the classroom, I could better identify when students would most likely need a brain break without them showing signs that they needed one. The type of brain break also depended on the day. I liked the idea of using various methods of brain breaks to provide variety. Sometimes I would allow students to pick between a couple options, or if they wanted to have a brain break now or after finishing a section. Some of the brain breaks included a 5-minute yoga video that got students up and moving. Another free break was allowing them to free draw on their whiteboards or read a book. In a 7th, 8th grade classroom I observed this semester, I saw the teacher incorporate fun questions like would you rathers or a quick game or activity to give students their brain break. These were often done right before the class period started to help students with transitions. Here's some of the research behind my study. Kristen Maddox, a Master's of Education student at Goucher College, found that active play and movement are at the heart of children's learning. She finds that being able to maintain focus for an extended period is crucial for learning. Attentiveness is enhanced when students are able to participate in moments of activity. A similar article by Laura Turner from Texas Christian University suggests the benefit of a change of pace in students' learning. Her research particularly pointed out that brain breaks are especially beneficial for students with disabilities as it encourages on-task behavior by giving students a moment of brain relief before actively engaging them in class. Highlighting on-task behavior is a crucial part of improving academic achievement and student grades. Amanda Morin from an education website called Understood concluded that in order to be successful, a brain break must incorporate physical movement, mindfulness exercise, or a sensory activity. Dancing or breathing activities are 2 types of brain breaks that teachers can utilize to refocus their students. Students often desire to be socializing with their peers. Providing a period of time for students to actively engage with one another during a brain break can also help them refocus their attention on the lesson. When taking field notes, I observed that students were most motivated and interested in learning immediately after having a brain break. All brain breaks in this inquiry were based off of 2 to 5 minute breaks. I also noted that when brain breaks were inserted into a transition period, students were able to move on to the next thing more easily. As transitioning became smoother, it decreased the amount of disruptive behavior and allowed for an increase in the amount of focused learning time. Lastly, I learned that students need more consistent breaks throughout whole group instruction time versus other types of learning. By giving these little 2 to 5 minute breaks throughout the whole group instruction, inappropriate behaviors decreased. I also noticed that changing locations helped. For example, completing some of the whole group instruction at their desks and then moving them to the carpet was one way to help students stay focused without an activity for the brain break. The transition of moving from one place to the other was kind of their brain break, because as first graders, they definitely take some time in moving from one place to the next. So I found that short transitional time between station work helps students refocus. Here's just a chart that kind of displays the material that I just stated, but depending on the day, students were more restless and demonstrated unwanted behaviors prior to their mini brain breaks. If I didn't catch it soon enough, then they showed a lot of need for brain breaks by their behavior. However, once given a break, students were able to better settle into the daily routine and complete on-task work. During the break, I only had a few students who were misbehaving by misusing the break and goofing off instead of staying focused. Thinking ahead, I have a few things that I thought of for my future classroom. Each classroom will be very different, and so I need to know what the students like to do and find enjoyable and find as a break. I need to vary the activities that I give students. One way is just to keep students on their toes with what they might get for the day as a break. I need to be consistent in what breaks I give kids, because I think this also plays a big factor in how students will respond to the types of brain breaks that I offer them. And they can also get more excited about certain ones, and I need to be consistent with providing choice in some instances, but also just saying this is what we're going to do today, and you guys get to have fun participating. I also need to offer student choice, however, and invite students to pick for themselves, invite them to be independent, invite them to recognize when they need a break and how they can give themselves a break, because that is a big part of teaching them how to be independent learners. One question that kind of came up throughout this study as well was, can I create educational activities that give students a brain break but still allows them to participate in learning important content? So with this question, I'm wondering if I can create activities that engage students in quality learning while still having some type of brain break. Question to consider for later on inquiries. Here is the research that I cited, and thank you so much for listening.